Welcome everybody to another video of Vinyl Addict. This is Chili, and today I'm ranking Dio albums, studio albums, from Rainbow to Heaven and Hell. So everything between those two bands. And before I start this, don't forget to hit the like button, comment on this video, share this video. If you still haven't, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell for future updates. Now that's out of the way, let's start this. Okay, so ranking these albums, I had to look at it from, of course, a body of work. What may have been great at one time has now fallen by the wayside, and it has, not been, didn't stand the test of time per se. So with that being said, and also like some albums are very classic where he's with other bands, and I'm pretty much looking at it from Dio's performance and what he's writing about, and and of course the factor of, does this fucking album rock? Of course that's always going to play an important role. So with that being said, let's get started. With number 17, I started off with Sacred Heart. This was the third album from Dio. 1985, the last one with Vivian Campbell. It was kind of, as far as the albums that he was in, it was like, yeah, he kind of left during this, I believe, or during the tour. And I guess he was starting not to feel the love of being in a Dio camp, and it kind of shows. It's just some of the songs on here are not as great as the other ones that he was part of, and it kind of hit me all the way in the bottom, and it didn't really stand the test of time. The whole Vision Quest song with Hungry for Heaven, and the Rock and Roll Children thing, it was really cool then, but like, this is one of those albums that's kind of like, okay, I did like King of Rock and Roll, of course. That's a great song. He said he wrote about Ozzy. I thought it was about Elvis, but no, in an interview he said it was about Ozzy. So there's my first one at 17 is Sacred Heart. And his last studio album, Master of the Moon, and he, has Craig Goldie on here. I just felt it wasn't a strong album as far as the newer material, and so I had to put it all the way down here. There's some cool songs in here. Death by Love, the opening track is okay, but as far as really opening tracks are concerned with Dio, you'll know from the start, like, that's a great album, and it just kind of didn't really do it for me. So 15, Dream Evil. I love this album when it came out. Craig Goldie coming in, I saw the Sacred Heart tour when he came in, and he just, was a breath of fresh air, and everything that him and Dio has done. Yeah, there's obviously a connection. I mean, he was on the last album, and there's some great songs on here. Sunset Superman, the title track, Naked in the Rain. I did like Overlove, because it was something, that hasn't been kind of done in the whole Dio catalog up to that point. So great album. It's number 15. They're all great albums, there's not a bad Dio album, but going through it this way, it may seem that way, but it's not. I love them all, but number 14, Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow. This is said to be Ronnie's favorite Rainbow album. Of course, Man on the Silver Mountain. I mean, this is if I was rating Ritchie Blackmore stuff, yeah, it'd be in a different it would be at a different number altogether. But as far as with the Dio stuff, I do like Temple of the King on here, Catch the Rainbow. I love, even the guitar, the Hendrix type thing he's doing on there. And there's some great songs on here. 16th Century Greensleeves, of course. So I put that at number 14. Now number 13. His last album recorded with Black Sabbath, a.k.a. Heaven and Hell, a.k.a. Black Sabbath. But yes, this it's a great album as far as you know, this lineup is concerned. But as far as the Dio material, all in all, I mean, I love Bible Black, Adam and Evil. There's some great songs on here as well. Eating the Cannibals, and I love that Follow the Tears intro. It's really cool. So there is that. The Devil You Know at 13. Number 12, The Last in Line. This is the second one, the second album. There's still a lot of great chemistry with Vivian, and love the intro of this song. It has that classic rock thing to it when you hear the intro of The Last in Line. It's kind of reminiscent to something like Temple of the King, you know, you're still kind of going there with that, and that's really cool. And other great songs on here that I like was One Night in the City, that was cool. I Speed at Night, Evil Eyes, you know, there you go. Last in Line. Now number 11, this is Killing the Dragon. Now this is the one with Doug Ulrich, but there's a lot of songs on here written by Goldie, and the song that one of the songs he does two that he helps co-write is Scream, and that song is great. After hearing that song, I was like, damn, they should have, you know, Dio should have wrote more songs with Doug, you know, because I mean, even his playing is phenomenal on that, but there's some cool shit on here. Rock and Roll, that kind of reminds me, the riff kind of reminds me of Soul Asylum, the song Soul Asylum by The Cult, doing Kashmir, of course, by Zeppelin, but still, it's great song. Throw Away the Children, that was supposed to be part of this hearing aid part 2 kind of thing that he was going to do, but you know, this is a great album. Doug was really good on this, and the live stuff that came after this, you know, the Inferno, and yeah, his time there was well spent. Okay, so we're going into the top 10. Number 10, Long Live Rock and Roll. Now, this album, I mean, of course, the title track is a classic rock song, but there are some things here that kind of just set the tone as this is what Dio is. He's really into, you know, this is the third album with Dio, with Rainbow, and he's, you know, comfortable in this, what he's writing about. So you got Lady of the Lake, you know, Gates of Babylon, Kill the King, Rainbow Eyes, you know. This is a great one with Blackmore, of course. And so Long Live Rock and Roll hits number 10. Number 9, supposedly his most angriest, darkest album is Strange Highways. I mean, I love this album. Jesus, Mary, and the Holy Ghost. You know, the opening track is just like, it just kills. Firehead, it just keeps going. And Strange Highways, Hollywood Black, all of these songs are great. Bring Down the Rain is the last one. Top to bottom, it's awesome. So, Strange Highways. And this album here, yes, I didn't think it would score that high, but you know what? After listening to all this stuff again, yes, it does. It's Angry Machines. It's he's taken a lot of chances on this album. You know, I love Stay Out of My Mind. It goes into like all this kind of weird orchestral stuff, this weird in the middle, and then it just it goes through all these changes. It's just and it's like 7 minutes long. It's schizo, you know, and just, I guess, just like the song entails, you know, it's just all over the place. But it's really cool. And Institutional Man, everything on here is fucking killer. And then he kind of ends this whole thing with This Is Your Life, you know, just a piano piece, and very emotional, very dramatic. We haven't, you know, heard something like this from Dio, so it was really cool, you know. And of course, the song Dying in America, prior to that, there were just some certain themes that he was doing here that was so different than what we're used to. And because sometimes his metaphors get kind of, you know, misplaced. Because he said like Killing the Dragon was about the dragon represented technology, but for the most part, no one will, you know, think of that. They'll just think of Dio and they connect the dragon with, you know, fantasy. So this was totally, Angry Machines was just totally just like, yeah, he's not going there into the fantasy realm. Okay, so now number 7, lucky number 7 is Dehumanizer with Black Sabbath. When they got back together with this, it was, I thought it was just like the perfect album to like, you know, with their legacy after Mob Rules, this was just like awesome. I love like Too Late, you know, the slow heavy song, and of course After All the Dead, that was great. TV Crimes and Sins of the Father was really awesome. So, and of course Buried Alive, the last track. You know, this was something that when it came out, I just kept playing it over and over again. I just thought, wow, they haven't skipped a beat when they got back together. So there's Black Sabbath's Dehumanizer. And number 6, Lock Up the Wolves. Okay, this is the going into the 90s. He just like got this whole new band, and you know, he got the, you know, this kid he just discovered who was 16, Rowan, and then the stuff that they were doing on here is just very slow, heavy kind of stuff. You know, Evil on Queen Street and the title track Lock Up the Wolves. You know, I kind of, you know, him doing that kind of Black Sabbath slow, heavy kind of stuff, you know, was really cool. But then again, he also had songs like Between Two Hearts, which was awesome. The Wild One, which was the video on here, one of the videos. Yeah, this whole album was really great. And it was too bad it wasn't, this lineup didn't do anything else. This is also the first one with Simon Wright, the drummer from AC/DC, and the Yngwie keyboardist Jens Johannesson. Yes, that's him. And so the whole new lineup, lots of energy, you know what I mean? Awesome. Now, my top 5. It's coming to the end. This album I felt was the epitome of Dio as far as what he represents. And the lineup here is like everyone from all his bands. You know, you got Simon Wright on drums, you got Jimmy Bain, you know, starting from the, you know, the first album, or Rainbow Rising, right? And then you got Craig Goldie. So this is like a super group within a super group of Dio's players. So, and it's a concept album, and the whole thing is, if you read the stuff that, I mean, I read the story before listening to the album that he has here, and then one song, of course, is him just telling the narration of what this is all about, you know, as far as Magica is concerned, which is a sacred book. And then you have heroes, you have villains, you know, you have light, black, you have darkness, you have, you know, told by the perspective of the villain, he said, you know. And when you, after knowing the story and then reading the songs and the lyrics, and then it makes a lot of sense who Ariel is, the hero, and then and the songs like As Long As It's Not About Love, that's between him and Annika, who ends up being the mother of Chalice, who was their son. But it's a whole story. You have to kind of just, you know, read it, and it all makes sense. It's just, but the music, I mean, is just amazing. It's just, it's like a soundtrack, of course. It's a concept and everything, but, you know, just like all great concepts like 2112 by Rush and everything, it's just, you know, the story is solid. And so with great story, as Dio is a great storyteller, there's great characters, and, you know, there's supposed to be 3 of these, which is sad, because at the very end, he talks about the dark peace, but that's another story. So I don't know. It was. I love this album. So I put this at 5 because I feel that this pretty much encaptures who Dio is. You know, in a nutshell, it's just like everything we love about Dio, and he just kind of, made the whole concept album, and it was just great. So Magica is number 5. Number 4 is the first album with Dio, Holy Diver. Some would say that some of the stuff was supposed to be with with Sabbath, or some leftover Sabbath material. But this album, unlike the other ones in the 80s, this one stands in, the test of time. Songs like Invisible, Straight Through the Heart. There's something about this album that has a classic feel to it. And even Rainbow in the Dark with the hook with that keyboard, it doesn't sound really dated, as far as like 80s music. It kind of sounds just like it stands on its own. The cover is amazing, and of course, I love the reissue with the remix by Joe Barresi. That was awesome. But this is I'm not ranking them as far as like well, that version sounded better than this. This is the music. The songs remain the same, and that's number 4. Now number 3, we have Heaven and Hell, Black Sabbath. Right after leaving Rainbow, he got in the perfect outfit. I mean, it was just talk about timing as well. The universe is pretty much worked in the favor of this band and Dio, and it's cool. Bill Ward is on here, and so this is a great testament of how these four work together. Neon Nights, Children of the Sea was, has to be my favorite song off here. Wishing Well, Die Young, and of course the epic Heaven and Hell. That song, it took Black Sabbath to a different realm, and they were able to, move forward without Ozzy Osbourne. So there you go. That's number 3. And of course, number 2, Mob Rules. When, I think this album, they're just more confident with who they are. I mean, even though the absence of Bill, but they got Vinny on board, and somehow like everything just clicked on this album. The sound of this album was just taking Sabbath to a different realm. Even with Heaven and Hell still had like a classic rock feel, I felt. Whereas this one was just really heavy, and just the drums and the whole production on this was excellent. So number 2 was Mob Rules. And as far as Dio is concerned, I thought his best work is Rainbow Rising, the second album. This is, there's like 6 songs on here. Terror Woman, Run with the Wolf, Starstruck, Do You Close Your Eyes, Stargazer, A Light in the Black. Do You Close Your Eyes is probably the only track I really, I'm not really a fan of. But however, this album and just the sound of it, just bringing in Cozy Powell, everything just on drums, and everything just kind of just went, wow. They took it to a different level, and what he's talking about here with Stargazer and connecting it with A Light in the Black, sort of just, it's a preview of what Magica was, just like all these kinds of concepts and stories and stuff within the same album. And so it all started here, Rainbow Rising, and that's my number 1 choice of this ranking of Dio material, from Rainbow to the band Heaven and Hell, aka Black Sabbath. But it depends on how you look at it. But leave me a comment below. What did you think of this ranking? Is it kind of like, oh wow, it's kind of far-fetched, putting Sacred Heart last, or or some of the other stuff in the middle of the top 10, like Angry Machines, But like I said, this is just my opinion, but it's also looking at a huge body of work that Dio has done, and having Magica in there, for me, just seemed logical. Okay, so Leave a comment below again. Don't forget to hit the like button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.